Welcome to my third video, guys. This one I'll be talking about execution. It was a highly requested topic in the comments of my last video, so I hope you'll enjoy it. Let me start off with saying that I'm not using any notes or editing for these kind of videos. It's just a one take, and I roughly know what I'm talking about, so bear with me if I make any mistakes. So I'll be going over CRO, which was a very high time frame short. Then I'll talk about gold, which was a lower time frame setup long that I took. And then I'll end with sand, which was a higher time frame long setup again, which I shared a couple weeks in advance on Twitter as well. So at the end, I'll also talk a bit about the psychology behind execution. As I mean, you can follow rules and tactics, but at the end of the day, every trade is different, and you gotta get a feel for execution. So I'll talk about that as well, and confirmations that people are looking for most of the time. Yeah, so let me start with CRO. This was a very great setup, semi-optimal in my book, which was shared by Monitor on Twitter. He told us to look at the new sentiment while we were approaching the 2-week breaker block. And it was also shared by Zero in his dojo in the Telegram. In there, they did a live execution, guiding people what to do and what to look for while price was in the 2-week breaker block area as well. He looked at volume on the lower time frame as well, so I'll talk about that a little bit myself. So a very refinable level. I won't go into that as we already did a refining video. We got the 705 FIP using this swing high to this swing low. So this whole impulse got the 705 lining up with the 2-week breaking block. Yeah, making it extra strong. So the execution part here, I'll go into lower time frames here, and I want to use the replay tool, so it will be a bit easier for me to show you guys what I was watching in real time. So yeah, like I said, this was a semi-optimal level, and you can definitely use a limit order here at the beginning of the level or at the 0.5, which is, by the way, just the middle point of this breaker block. So I took it like so, the 0.5, or at the 705, and I showed you at the beginning how I got that one, right? So this was valid for a limit order with decent size as well, and I would put my stop loss just above, well, I did put my stop loss just above the breaker block, as if I go into higher time frame again, as you can see, it covers the whole fair value gap. So this is a very high RR, easy stop loss placement in my book. Going into the lower time frames again. Yeah, so if you got in at the first touch, well, it barely touched the level, but we got it, and it showed a 14% reaction to the downside. If you got in here, I didn't get in, I didn't get filled here, but I would not have put it to break even, even after a 3 plus RR reaction. Simple reason, it's higher time frame. It didn't take the 0.5, it didn't take even any liquidity, barely, so it can easily retest the level again, and you don't want to get stopped before the real move begins, right? If it took the 0.5, I might have trailed my stop loss or put it to break even here. This 0.5 I got from this swing low, and this swing high here, you get the 0.5, but as you can see, we didn't even touch it, and we retested the level, and that's where I got in. So I want to show you exactly what my entry was and my reasoning behind it. So I went to the 5-minute chart, right? I went to the 5-minute chart, well, even lower, I went to 1 minute, but I executed on a 5. So let me show you. I was watching, after we got this nice reaction here, right? This nice downside reaction, and I'm saying nice because it made a supply order block, right? It made a supply order block on the 2 minute. Let's see. And on the 2 minute, it created this one right here, right? This supply order block, and it broke this low here. So this is where we have a break of structure on the lower time frame, right? It retested to 2 minute breaker block with only wicks above and price not closing above it. So it's not invalidating this supply order block, which is inside the bigger 2 week breaker block area, right? So this is then where you can simply enter. You don't need to wait for too much confirmations here, right? You can wait for this close and then enter here, or wait for this close and then enter here, right? So let's say you waited for this one. You could have put your stop loss. You can play it tight above this wick. I would not recommend this. It's a higher time frame level. You don't want to get stopped out because you're being greedy with the RR. You could have put it above here, which was a very good move, but I myself went the safer route and I just put it above the breaker block, right? So this is a 2 minute breaker block, which is showing that sellers are in control. Why? It's making this fair value gap, creating this imbalance, showing that sellers are in control here. So this is how you can execute on the lower time frames while being inside this higher time frame level, right? You don't want to wait for too much confirmations. Like I said, it's a good level, and if you're like, okay, I'm going to wait till we get a break of structure here and then a retest, then I'm going to enter, well, look what happens most of the time, right? You miss the whole move. You need to have more confidence, journal more trades, and know that there is no confirmation, right? There is no 100% confirmation. You must simply enter when you're presented with the opportunity. It's actually very simple, but simple is hard. Then there was also this 5 minute where I also went in with 1/4 of my size, right? Because you don't have to go in immediately with all size. You can just simply enter right here at the 705 or 0.5. Let's say you want to enter with 2% in total. You can do 1% here. Then I did 0.5% here at this 5 minute, which also showed the sellers being in control, creating this fair value gap, as you can see, after this lower time frame break of structure. You enter at this 5 minute, you can enter at this 2 minute, with another 0.5% for 2% in total, right? So 1% here, or at the beginning of the level, 0.5 here, 0.5 here. Or you can just be, you know, I'm trusting the setup, I'm accepting the risk, because that's what it is, right? If you're looking for too much confirmations, it simply means you're just not accepting the risk. But if you made a plan and you know these kind of plays have a good win rate, let's say it's 30%, which isn't even super high, right? But the RR on these trades are like 6 or 7, so you don't need to be right that often to make a lot of money from these, especially when playing with size. Yeah, and then the volume thing that I wanted to talk about on the 2 minute, if the volume wants to load here, which it doesn't, editing this bit as the volume wasn't loading. But what I wanted to show was the decreasing volume while we're inside this level, right? So as you can clearly see, the buying pressure and the volume is decreasing here while we're inside this whole area. So this is some extra confidence to enter at either the 2 minute or the 5 minute here, right? This was the port that was discussed in Zero's Telegram. I didn't use the volume indicator here as I had enough confidence and I already entered with enough size, but this is something you can look at as well. Let me remove it again. Yeah, last part, because I don't want to talk about the take profits and everything here. Real quick, I did a take profit at this 2 hour breaker block here. But um, the news that I wanted to show here, the manipulation tweets that Monitor told us to look for. So first of all, we had the 26th of August, we had Crypto.com and different big Twitter accounts announcing, right, announcing a expected bullish news, right? So CRO Strategies expected to be the world's largest holder, right? Expected is a keyword here because, right, it was a local top. We went down 11%, but then we went up like, what is it, 100% again? Yeah, around 100%. What happens a lot is they create these expectations, but then when the news is at max bullish, right? So it's not an expectation anymore, but it really happened, or this guy who is, I think, the CEO of Crypto.com, they're like max bullish tweeting every day. Um, that's when they're selling big time, right? So this was only a local top, but this, in confluence with the 2-week breaker block, could give you some extra confidence to execute here, right? CRO at number 16, top 16 coin, boom, the first reaction. Then again, very rapid grow in transactions, and then literally the top of the top. That's when he tweeted this. So yeah, keep an eye out for these kind of things, as they're nice extra confidence. So the second chart, a lower time frame trade that I want to talk about, is gold. As you can see here, I executed at the bottom, sold a bit here, and I'd let the rest run. Yeah, this was a 1 hour demand level with all these time frames as breaker blocks. Inside, we had the 705 FIP from here to here, and this 786 FIP from the FIP low, swing low here to the FIP high here, right? So very good lower time frame setup in my book. So I took it, but I didn't place a limit order or anything. I waited patiently for price to reach the level. Let's see how long this will load now. Yeah, so let me just remove this altogether. It was right here. Yeah, so I waited for price to reach the level, and as it was mainly a 15-minute, that was the highest time frame breaker block, I waited for the 15-minute close here. And as you can see, it's a clean wick, and then it closed above the breaker block. So this for me was very good confidence to enter, like a candle close confirmation, right, on the same time frame to enter, and then you can put your stop loss. I mean, you can put it below the wick for a very high RR, but to be honest, I put it below the breaker block. And even waiting for these confirmations, you got a very high RR trade. I mean, especially if you let it run to the range highs here, you got around 14. You could have entered at the most refined level. As you can see, this is my brightest area where you would have gotten an even better RR. It was also the place where the two FIPS were, but my execution was waiting for the candle close, because with lower time frame, you get stopped out more often than not entering without these candle close confirmations. Even if you went down to the 5-minute, yeah, the 5-minute also showed very good confirmation. As you can see, we had this clean breaker block here. And the 5-minute we wicked in and we immediately went up and closed above, right? So boom, simply enter here for a very high RR trade. Also, one thing I want to point out here is on the 15-minute, we had a break of structure here. As you can see, we're closing below, but as the whole level is inside a 1 hour demand order block, I always check the 1 hour then. And as you can see, we made a swing failure pattern here, giving me more confidence to hold the trade. Yeah, so this is basically it for the gold trade. Very simple, waited for the candle close and entered. Then with sand, yeah, this is the one I shared on Twitter. Well, the checklist, we have a bullish break of structure here. Then you wait for a pullback into a significant key level. We had multiple key levels here, this 7-day, this 1 day, but this 2-day was most refined, and in my opinion, because of the fib and the refinement, the strongest level, as it was also last liquidity, right? Um, so when we approached the level, I remember there was a lot of uncertainty on Twitter because USDT was piercing, I think, the 1-day breaker block here at 4.6 or something. Um, yeah, but if you just kept your calm and simply waited for a 1-day candle closure, as you can see, we went perfectly inside the level. This is also higher time frame. I wouldn't place a full size limit order here like CRO, because CRO was like a 2-week. This was a 1-day and a 2-day, so not 1 week plus. But you can definitely put a 1/3 or even 50% limit order here with a tight stop loss. As you can see, it would maximize the RR to 14.5 if you enter on the 786, or even if you enter at the beginning, you have around 8.8, let's say 9. But if you wait for the 1-day candle close, you're still having 6.8, let's say 7, which is still very high RR if we reach the target, which we did here. Yeah, so here I waited for the 1-day candle close, but even if you go to lower time frames, you can see, let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, you can see there's no candle close, not even inside, not below, of course, we didn't even wick below, but not even inside the level, showing very good buying pressure here. Let me use the replay tool more. Yeah, if you go to the 2-hour, or let's say the 1-hour, 30-minute, 1 hour we start closing inside, 2-hour we didn't. So you can even wait for the 2-hour here, boom, you have your entry here. Like I said, you can always put it below the wick. It's a bit riskier for high RR, or you can simply put it like your initial plan below the breaker block, right? And this is the thing about psychology. Everybody has their own strategies and what they're comfortable with. For me, I put it here. I mean, if you did it here, the RR would be twice as much. Yeah, GG if you did, but I didn't. But even here, right, let's say you're not entering here, you missed it for some reason, I don't know, you didn't place a limit order, we're bouncing here. As you can see, like I talked about with CRO, we are creating these order blocks inside the level and showing good buying pressure here. So you can simply also wait for the retest of this order block here. Put it below the wick or the breaker block. The risk with this is it doesn't have to test this 30-minute anymore because it already took a lot of liquidity, right? So, but if you miss this 30-minute, you simply just enter on the 1-day candle close, which was around, also around here. So then your RR is a bit worse, but it's still very, very good. So for the 30-minute, you would have gotten around, what is it? Around 10, 11. So yeah, that's how I go about it. If I don't place a limit order, or if I only have half size, I wait for these candle closures. If they're good, I simply enter, right? Even if there's a lot of uncertainty and you don't have like a V-shaped reversal, just wait patiently. If you made a plan, worst case you get stopped out and you lose, like on these kind of setups, 1 to 2%. That's not too bad, because if it succeeds, yeah, you make around 10% plus. So that's how trading works. Then I also took this short, by the way, but this is where I got stopped and I did not re-enter. Well, because I was asleep, I couldn't re-enter here, but I simply played the, I think this was a, of course you can see, 1-day order block supply with a 10-hour, I think it was a 4-hour also, and some other medium time frames inside. You could have played it wider, covering the whole 1-day supply. I didn't, because the 786 here was inside the level, and I wanted to have a good, good risk reward. If you take this fib, yeah, as you can see, there's no FIP in here, so I didn't want to cover it. We happened to take the liquidity here as well, but most of the times it's not necessary to cover the whole supply. Even if you succeed here, it will decrease your RR from let's say you target the swing low, right, 2.8, but if you only cover this level, it's around 7. So it's not only about win rate. But even if you got stopped here, the 10 hour, no close above, boom, no close above, you can enter here, and because it's a late entry and the whole breaker block is taken, I here would put it above the wick and not above the whole area, right? And then if you target swing low, you can recover your stop loss and more very easily. But this was a difficult one, to be honest. I was asleep, so I didn't re-enter. I took a 1% loss here, just to be honest. And the 4 hour, it closed above the 4 hour as well. So even if I was awake, I would only enter with very little size, let's say 0.5, to have a chance to cover up for the loss. But you don't have to here. It's not the most optimal setup anymore, as the 4 hour invalidated the level, but the 10 hour didn't. So you can still technically enter here and recover your loss. Yeah, that's about everything that I wanted to cover. And like I said in the beginning with the psychology about execution, my advice would be journal a lot of trades. Journal a lot of trades and review them, and that's the only way to get more confidence, right? Because if you don't have a lot of confidence at these levels, you're not going to enter these retests, or you're not going to enter after the 1 day candle close, because yeah, let's be honest, you go to Twitter and you see some people being bearish here and you're like, I'm not sure if I should enter or not. But if you have 100 trades showing that if you do this after the 1 day candle close, you will make money like 50 or 40% of the time, you will enter. So it's all about having confidence. So my advice, like I said, get experience, level up, take a lot of trades, get a feel for your way of execution, right? If you don't have a lot of time, you're not at the charts the whole day, you can simply place limit orders at these levels, let's say 50% size or even 75, right? Because you're not breaking any rule. You can make up your own rules. So yeah, get experience, level up, journal, get more confidence, you get confidence by having these trades in your journal. You can look at it. It's not like a feeling. You can see the trades. You can see it working out. You can see that if you enter after these closes, or if I look at the volume decreasing, of if new sentiment is like this, all these examples that I showed, if you have that in your journal, you have confidence, right? It's not a feeling, and if you have confidence, you will enter, and you will enter with size as well, right? Because most of the time, in my beginning of my trading journey, I would enter with like 0.5% at these levels, or 0.5% at this 0 level. But then when the trade worked out, I'm like, oh, I should have entered with 2 or 3%, right? No worries, journal it. And if you have 10, 20, 50 or 100 examples, it will be easier to enter with size and enter with conviction, right? Because candle closures, they will not give you a 100% confirmation, right? Everybody's looking for confirmations, but there is no confirmation. You need to have confidence and put the risk on in order to make money with this probability game. So yeah, I hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what different topics you want to see. You can just put it in the comments on X, or if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah, and my apologies for the late upload, by the way. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great rest of the week.